different languages. It's awesome.
Yes, I
So
agree.
it's so fun. Okay, before we get started, because it's 8:01. Uh-oh, we're getting late. Okay. Mira, how does everything look on TikTok land? TikTok land, how's everything?
TikTok looks perfect. It looks amazing. And
Okay,
now we are live on Instagram. Just give us a few seconds, and people are going to start hopping on.
okay. So we've got some big news here at Community for International Arab. For those that are joining in, we've got a personal announcement. Mira, are you on stage right now?
Yes.
I want everybody to put a huge congratulations to Mira, who recently got engaged to her fiance Mario. So, everyone,
Thanks, Tiff.
big mabruk to Mira and Mario and their families. This is quite an exciting time for us. So, Mira,
Yes.
there are no words that can describe how extremely happy I am for the two of you and this community. Inshallah, we uplift and hold you in that. And this is a good example of a healthy, loving relationship. And so you embody that because you do the work, and it's just amazing to see.
Thank you so much. It means the world to me that we're saying this to our community and we're sharing that with you. I'm so grateful that every one of you is a part of my life. And I love you. I love you so much. And I really am so grateful to have you. And thank you for all the beautiful messages. I see them all. Thank you, Ibrahim, Angie. Thank you, Aboud. Thank you for everyone that's taking the time to congratulate me. Thank you, Noor. Thank you, Crystal, Muhammad. Thank you, Tiff. Thank you so much for all you do.
I love you. This community without you is there is no community without you. So all the Arabic phrases, God bless you guys, and we'll just keep this going. So anyway, that's huge news. So we're super excited about that. So there are no defense mechanisms there. That's all love.
Oh yes.
All right. So with that, let's get started. So last week we talked about defense mechanisms, and let me go over the ones we went real quickly. So the first defense mechanism that I talked about was denial. Now, it's refusing to acknowledge something because it's too painful. Now, this is a huge defense mechanism within our cultural context because let me tell you, sometimes the reality is so difficult with all the war and all the upheaval and everything that this defense mechanism truly is a part of survival. Yet, where it becomes problematic is when you continue to deny out of survival when you're not in survival. Okay. So we talked about that, and you can find that video on YouTube. We also talked about projection. One of the things I've noticed about the community here is most of the people drawn to this platform and this content are empathic people, aware, they have a consciousness. And one of the things that happens to them is a lot of people's pain gets projected on to them. Okay. So those of you that are out there, a lot of people may take feelings that they can't tolerate in themselves and then they assign it to you. So if you have a friend who feels insecure, they may project onto you their insecurity. So it's going to be very important if you do this to other people to be aware of it. But more often than not, because I feel very connected to this community, I read all the comments. I notice who's on the lives, the people that have been around for a while. I can say that many of you may be receiving a lot of projection, and a lot of my work is ensuring that those those projections get deflected back to the person. Okay. I'm going over this quickly. Number 3, rationalization. I have a joke. People might get mad at me, but it's within my own friend group and family. We are, as Arab, amazing rationalizers. We can rationalize with the best of them. It's creating a logical explanation to avoid an emotional truth. So we can engage in all kinds of patterns of behavior, and we will have a very logical explanation as to why we're doing it, yet we have no discussion around what are some of the emotions behind it. I said, man, the best at rationalizing, especially food. We are really good at rationalizing a slice of cheesecake. You know what I mean? Even though we know it's not good for us. Now, the fourth one that I talked about was repression. And this one is pushing painful experiences out of awareness. Now, I don't pathologize repression in our cultural context because it protects people during war. And I spoke a lot about that. But if you repress your feelings to the point where you're not functioning, that's when it becomes problematic. So this week, we are going to start with, excuse me, a defense mechanism called displacement. Now, think about your life. Think about generational trauma. And we see a lot of this. It's redirecting emotions toward a safer target. So, what does that mean? You may have a manager at work who then humiliates you or gives you a lot of grief. And because you may not feel comfortable to confront your manager, then you go home and you start to yell at the people in your life. Maybe you yell at your partner. Then the partner feels like they don't know what to do with that emotion. Then they start yelling at the children. And then the children don't know what to do with all that emotion. And then they kick the dog or pull the tail of the cat. Okay. Do you guys see how that works? So ask yourself, this is why emotional regulation is so important, so that we're not displacing our distress onto other people, and then it just keeps going on and on and on. Yes, no replacement for displacement. Yes, I love that. Okay. So think about intergenerational stress. So if you're a parent, I'm really going to encourage you to really think through this. Intergenerational stress often gets displaced downward. So then we wonder why things keep going from generation to generation, because our parents or you may be carrying immigration stress, which is extremely stressful, war trauma, which is horrific, or discrimination, as an example, especially here in the US and perhaps in the diaspora, the parent may unknowingly, as a result of all these things, release that stress onto the children. And then what do the children do with it? Okay. So as a parent, you recognizing that, stopping before you go home, before you engage with your family, to create a little bit of distance, some awareness. Now they may be safe. Your wife or your husband, they're the safer person. Your mom or your dad may be the safe parent, and then you're going to treat them terribly because you don't know what to do with these emotions. Because I'm going to encourage you not to do that. Just because someone is safe for you, it does not mean that it's okay for you to make them your punching bag. All right. Let's see. All right. Any questions on that one so far? Okay. Displacement. You're displacing all your stuff onto other people. Try not to do that. Okay. The next one is really interesting. reaction formation. It's this I see a lot in our culture because we come from a culture of people pleasers and taking care of other people. You act the opposite to what you truly feel. Okay, so someone who feels vulnerable becomes excessively tough. So instead of leaning into the vulnerability, they're going to do the opposite of that and be really, really tough. Someone struggling with uncertainty, we see this a lot in our culture. You may challenge someone's beliefs and they're maybe feeling wobbly about or uncertain, and they become rigidly controlling. Because anyone who is secure in their beliefs, no matter what they are, do not need to control other people's narratives unless they're feeling uncertain within themselves. So, as an example, many men, whether it's in our culture or not, uh, have this belief: don't cry. You're not supposed to cry. Even for the Banats, I see this a lot. Like, we are not taught to cry. You don't cry. Somebody else has it worse. And as adults, we've learned to suppress all that sadness, and then it may translate into anger. So instead of saying I'm hurt, this happens to me a lot because I tend to be very reactive in my anger. That instead of saying to people I'm hurt, it becomes I'm so pissed off, I'm so angry. And so we need to recognize that that's a reaction formation. Okay. Anger, as we know, is a secondary emotion because underneath it is fear, grief, shame, rejection. Okay. Now, this takes an intense amount of work and a lot of vulnerability to be able to say, you hurt me. I'm feeling pain. I have a lot of grief of what was lost when I was growing up. The next defense mechanism is intellectualization. I get this a lot on this platform. We are very intellectual people, no doubt about it. Very aware, so much knowledge, very, very smart people. However, at some point, it just serves us emotionally. Intellectualization is a defense mechanism in which a person focuses on facts, analysis, theory, or logic to avoid experiencing uncomfortable emotions. So, this is very common amongst professionals, academics, physicians, therapists, religious leaders, high achievers, and also individuals from families where emotions were discouraged, which is many of us. So we intellectualize it in, we need to not dwell on feelings. How many times do I just get over it? Why are you feeling why the mom on the wedding video I did, the mom was just being honest with no filter. That's how we should move. And nobody, very few people acknowledged the emotional impact of that no filter, because we intellectualize it in the sense of don't dwell on feelings, focus on solutions. Oh, if I hear solutions, go through my platform, go to the comments, solutions. So where's the solution? We can't move to the solution until we feel the feeling. Move forward. We hear that a lot. Where's your data? Yereta had data. Yereta had data. The reality is most Arab don't like to fill out the surveys for good reason, because we don't know where our survey answers are going to go. Yet we had more data. But we use that as a deflection, because when we feel uncomfortable with maybe some of the things that I'm saying, because that's what I have seen as a clinician of 20 plus years, that immediately, where's your data? Where are you getting it from? Versus what's going on within me that I'm feeling uncomfortable. Okay. The problem is not thinking. We need logic and we need emotion. We need both. But when we lean too much on intellectualization, it will keep us from feeling the feelings that we need in order to move forward. So the problem isn't using your thinking, it's in the avoidance of the feelings. Okay. How are we doing on time? Mira, any questions so far?
I think we're quiet today for some reason. Um, yeah, no questions. Maybe would you like to ask a question? Have us think about.
Yeah. So think about your own life. Now, if you have any, just think about your own life. Where in your life have you done any one of these things? And maybe put it in the chat. Where in your life have you maybe been in denial? You intellectualized. You projected onto somebody your feelings. Maybe put in the chat, what are some of the defense mechanisms you have engaged in? We all do this, by the way. Anybody that says they don't have any defense mechanisms is in denial. We all do this. And I want us to be gentle with ourselves around it. How many of you have been in denial? Maybe you projected onto somebody, you were feeling crappy that day, and then you projected onto them, oh, the example I used was, when you go to a party or a hafla and you're feeling really good, and then you're feeling so like you feel confident, you look good, you look nice, and then you have an auntie and you look good or you feel confident. Then the auntie or the amo, they look at you, or the cousin, and they look at you up and down and they say, oh, you look tired.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's bad. It's
Oh, it's
bad.
bad. And if you're not aware of yourself, if you're not confident in yourself, that projection, then you go,
Mhm.
do I look tired? Oh my God, I thought I looked good. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? How come I'm and then now you are absorbing this
Yes.
versus you being aware, oh, that was a projection.
Mm.
Now, if you've done this to other people, recognize that it's your projection. Let's see, anybody
We
putting
have
in
a question. It says, I use reject. Is this normal?
I need a little bit more context. Like rejecting people. I'm not sure what they mean by that. Like sometimes we will reject others before we get hurt ourselves. I'm not sure what that.
Yeah, give us a little bit more detail. He said, yes, people.
Yes, so that may be the fear of vulnerability and opening yourself up, that you will reject others before they reject you. And you may want to take a look at your attachment trauma around that. Where did that come from? Any other questions?
No, we can keep it going.
Okay. So now that we've talked about the defense mechanisms, let's kind of move into why this may be problematic for you, some of the clinical implications about that. Let's go to the first one, which is perfect segue into the person that talked about rejection. Emotional disconnection. So the person can explain their experiences in great detail, but has little emotional connection to them. I see this a lot. Arab will talk about uh, their immigration experience, or they will talk about what happens to them in their home countries. And if you listen to what there's the levels of trauma and the multiple issues that are involved in that. And they will talk about it as if they're talking about what they ate yesterday for lunch. And they will say things like, it doesn't really bother me. Okay. This emotional disconnection, the body, so they may intellectually, logically say it doesn't bother me, yet their body may tell a different story. So your emotional disconnection may have implications on you. May feel your body may get anxious, very nervous. You may have insomnia. You can't sleep. Uh, Hypersomnia. You may sleep a lot. You may experience panic symptoms, chronic tension in your body, stomach issues, migraines. So you may have this emotional disconnection to what you experienced growing up or in your home countries or in your immigration experience. Yet you have to recognize your body may say, I need you to pay attention to this because there is a disconnection there. So the narrative is present, but the emotional processing of it is completely absent. Okay. So if intellect, like your mind is saying, nah, I'm fine, stop, recognize, is my body telling me a different story? And your body may not. Who am I to say? But for you to at least explore it. The clinical consequence number 2 is, I think, also, I think dictator number 1, is it a trust issue? Well, we have difficulty forming deeper relationships. I think intimacy requires emotional vulnerability. Now, we're good at connecting. We're a very collective culture. We connect with people. We're hospitable. We do all the things. Yet, how many of you experience deeper relationships with the people in your life? So this happens. I see this a lot on the platform. A video will come up about something very emotional, maybe something very charged, and individuals will intellectualize it by giving advice, offering some analysis. They'll move into problem solving or explanations when that's not what people need. People most of the time need emotional presence. They don't need your advice or analysis or problem solving or explanation. Sometimes you can offer guidance in that as a clinician. Sometimes I have explained what may be going on, yet they need emotional presence. So if you have a partner that says, I feel lonely, right? Women are always asking men to be more vulnerable. And then when the man says, I'm feeling vulnerable, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling stress, the response is, well, let's fix it. Let's examine why you feel that way. And so instead of hearing the person, just letting him sit in his feelings or in his emotions, women, as in general, tend to I don't want him to feel uncomfortable, let me fix it, when that's exactly what he needs to get in touch with that space. Men, you're on the hot seat. Your partner may be in emotional feelings. Try not to fix it. She doesn't need you to fix it. She just maybe needs you to hold her or him. Your partner just may need you to hold them. Okay? So many of us growing up can't have, we have trouble forming deeper relationships because in our families of origin, when we were feeling a feeling, it was suppressed. We had to repress. And then what happens? Now you're in a partnership. You have a difficult time feeling vulnerable. I can tell you, even in my own experience, I will put myself on the hot seat. I have deep friendships. Like I have a wonderful community of friends, amazing people. Yet when I had gotten divorced around the age of 40, that was the first time. Now I've been friends with these people for over 20 plus years. Many of them expressed to me that was the first time they had ever seen me vulnerable. The first time I actually cried. So yes, I had close relationships, but how deep were they when I wasn't even able to show my feelings until something very challenging happened. So if you're seeking deeper connections with others, you may want to take a look at how you're moving in that relationship. Uh, the third clinical consequence, and this is, we talk about chronic anxiety, that just because you're not processing your emotions, it doesn't mean they disappear. Let me not think about it. Khalina ninsa, okay, let's just forget about it. You think it's going to disappear? No, if anything, it gets worse over time. And so it reemerges physiologically. So I talked about that earlier. Racing thoughts, muscle tension, sleep disturbances, difficulty relaxing. It took a long time. How many of you know how to relax? Like really relax. And so you may have chronic anxiety because you're trapped by this overthinking, because it's safer for you to think than to feel. So you keep looping and looping and looping, trying to rationalize, trying to make sense of it. I said, stop. Yeah, take a deep breath and go, what feeling am I avoiding? And maybe you're avoiding that the person you're dealing with is terrible. And that could be a family member. I'm trying to work on this relationship and they keep hurting me. And you're trying to think through, what did I do? How did I move? What did I say? Maybe I said the wrong word. Maybe I wore something that they didn't like, and you, versus feeling like, I'm with this person because I'm feeling lonely. I'm with this person because it's better than, I'd rather deal with this than maybe another option. So when you repress your feelings, you have to remember, where is it going to go? It's going to go to your body. So when you're in an overthinking state, you're ruminating and you're flipping out, I'm going to encourage you to stop and ask yourself, what feeling am I avoiding? This happens a lot in our cultural. Oh, let me stop before I move on. Okay, Mira, how are we doing?
Yes, Nasreen said she had a question. She said, what holding them means? Is it saying I understand your feelings and stay quiet?
Yeah, I love that, Nasreen. Yeah, Habibti, that's exactly it. You don't need to do anything. And sometimes when you're a parent too, let me just put, as a mother, sometimes Binti will have very deep, painful emotions. And as a mother, Albik, want to just make it better for them. And this is where all your children need is for you to not freak out, why are you feeling this way? Or, oh, come on, we got to fix it. Let's make it better. Let me pay for this or that. No. You let them cry. What did Nisreen say? I loved it. Holding them. Maybe they don't want you to touch them. Okay, depending on the person. Maybe they just need you to stay close to them. And I hear you, feel your feelings. Maybe you don't say anything and you just give them your presence. And then you keep yourself in your emotions in check because you want to fix it, heal it, take care of it. You breathe and you just hold the space. Now, holding the space means presence. So be fully present. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Now we have other questions related to parents. So would you like to answer them now?
Well, let's see what they are. I'm not sure.
We have a question saying how to deal with forceful parents who force you to do things you don't want to do and don't respect.
Yeah, that's such a tough one, Mr. Glitch. Yeah, it's a glitch in our society. We force children to do. Now it depends on what it is, I think sometimes children we've overcorrected. A parent will ask them to, oh, I don't know, do their homework or wash the dishes or do just. Now we've pathologized normal household chores. But if they're forcing you, I'm not even sure how to answer that, because I would need more specifics on what are they forcing you to do. But if your parents are forceful, you may want to take a look at their own trauma histories. What happened to them in their life that they may be reacting in this way? Now, it's not excusing the behavior at all. What it's doing is it's giving you an understanding so that maybe you can see, okay, well, how long and how much do I want to deal with this? And then you want to minimize contact, not cut them off, but you may want to limit contact in how you show up. But without really knowing that what the forcing is, I don't know how to answer that.
Another question saying, how do you deal with a parent who makes hurtful comments despite having a discussion?
Yeah, so any parent, when they make hurtful comments to you and they continue, like you've said, mom, dad, this hurts me, and they're not hearing you and they're not listening, I'm going to really encourage you to, their hurtful comments are a projection. They're projecting onto you how they may be feeling inside. So it's going to be painful because it's your mom and dad. And it's going to be very important for you not to internalize that. And it could be you just saying, oh, well, you don't tell them they're projecting. They're not going to understand that or care about these psychological terms. They're going to be like, nah, what do I care about projection?
Yeah.
So try not to internalize that. Just recognize it's a projection. Because if you've shared, you're hurting me, and the person continues to hurt you, you're dealing with someone that's not well. And if they're not interested in getting well, then it's your responsibility to take accountability for continuing to work on yourself so that they do not impact you emotionally.
Yes. Nisreen is just clarifying, I think, what she already said, because we had a comment from Mental Health Nerd. It said, I think by holding them, she's talking about her own feelings. But then Nisreen said, when someone I care about is not feeling well, I feel the need to fix it and immediately look for solutions. It's a terrible feeling.
I know it is, Habibti. It is terrible. I've tried to heal the people around me my whole life. And there's nothing more demoralizing than trying to heal the people around you and nothing changes. So take yourself out of that game and just hold the space. That's all you need to do. And then in turn, in you taking a step back and allowing people to figure it out for themselves, not only do you get your energy back, not only do you have more space to focus on you, that you're also giving them an opportunity to grow in themselves.
Okay, I think we can keep going.
All right, fabulous. All right, let's see. This I see a lot within our cultural context, and I really encourage people to be kind to yourself around this. Another clinical consequence is emotional delays. So I'll work with someone in their 20s and they'll say, Tiffany, I feel like, people in my life have already dealt with these emotional things earlier. I said, well, yeah, because they had the luxury of having family systems and being families that may not be in survival. So they may feel more mature or more emotionally aware than you at 26 or 27, because they had the opportunity to practice all these things. So an emotional delay begins, the person often understands emotionally significant events long after they occur. So a parent dies, okay? So the person will, this could be you're organizing the funeral, you're handling the finances, you're supporting everyone else, and you remain stoic and composed. right? You're doing all the things, doing task. And then 6 months later, you have a complete and utter breakdown. Well, the grief was postponed. It wasn't absent. So, same thing. You may have an emotional delay. You may have been in survival mode, going to university, doing all the things, dealing with the parents back home, all the stressors of back home, financial. You're doing all the things. And then you wake up, your life has settled a bit, and now all the stuff is coming up. Sexual abuse survivors, I see this a lot. They were sexually abused when they were younger. Now they're empty nesters. Their children have left the home. They're not as busy. And then all of it comes. And then you wonder why they're breaking down, because now they have this space to deal with the trauma of what happened to them when they were younger. So remember, a clinical consequence of the emotional delay can serve you in many ways. But remember, when things happen to you and you ignore them and you repress them, they don't necessarily go away. Okay? Another clinical consequence of defense mechanisms is limited access to core needs. So what does that mean? Feelings communicate needs. Now, how many of you growing up were you ever asked what your needs were? And you could put it an emoji, yes or no. Were you ever asked, Habibi, Habibti, what are your needs? What do you need? Anybody? I'll put myself on the hot seat. Yeah, somebody wrote never. Another Fatih puts no, never. Ala, never. Yeah, right, never. I remember going to therapy for the first time. I was 23 maybe. And the therapist asked me, Tiffany, what are your needs? And I said, what are needs? And it was a genuine question. The emotional delay, right? I was like, what are needs? I go, what do you mean? He goes, what do you mean? Like, what do you need? I said, I have no idea what I need. That I have no clue, because I was so disconnected from my feelings. I didn't even know what the heck I needed. So when someone disconnects from their feelings, they often disconnect from their needs. So by leaning into, I'm feeling tired, let's say you're doing everything for everyone, and you stop and you go, I'm feeling tired. The core need may be, I need to rest. So I'm going to have to say no to some people. So sometimes to access that, you need to ask yourself certain questions. What do I want? Nobody ever asks, what do you want? What hurts you? What do you need? What are you afraid of? So sometimes people, all they need is emotional presence. Sometimes people need a hug. Sometimes people, if you're the person that does everything for everyone, and sometimes you just need somebody to bring you a cup of coffee, how nice would that be? That's why I always say, within our cultural context, we're used to crumbs. لمن حدا بعتينا هيك something small, we go, oh, thank you. And then what do? We feel obligated to give back to them tenfold, because that's how what we were taught, many of us. Hada does a little thing for you, gives you a tiny bit, and then we now, instead of having you fill that for you, right? Fill that for you. Now you're going to take a little bit of it and then fill somebody else's cup. So you're depleted again. Asking yourself these questions, I think, Ibrahim, you wrote, how do you feel? A lot of times I typically don't like to ask that question, how do you feel? Because most people are disconnected from their feelings. The question I usually like to ask is, what do you think about that? Sometimes it's easier for people to use their logical brain. How do you feel? Well, I don't know. Or sometimes people will say, well, how the, excuse me, how the F do you think I feel? Right. I used to work with teenagers. They were awesome. I learned that. You don't, I spilled my coffee, you guys. You don't ask, how do you feel? I learned that working with teens. Because in graduate school, they said, oh, just ask them how they feel. I said, oh, so how do you feel, teenager? And the teenager's like, how the F do you think I feel? And you're like, okay, I'm not going to ask that question again. I digressed. So, but Ibrahim, I mean, how do you feel? I mean, it could be with your intimate partner, like somebody that you're, in a trusting relationship with. It could be, honey, how are you feeling right now? Yeah, I could see that. But most people are disconnected from their feelings. Asking someone what you asking yourself what you need is surprisingly very difficult. So you want to create some self-awareness around that. Why is it difficult for me to ask for what I need? Because how many times with you growing up, when you had a need, was it fulfilled? And I'm not talking about housing, food. More often than not, your emotional needs were not met. So now you have to meet those needs for yourself. Depending on somebody else to fill those needs for you is a setup. Okay. Oh, let's see. Sorry. Ibrahim, what did you write? I just like it because it makes me feel seen. Yeah, when somebody asks you, how do you feel? Absolutely. Yet most people aren't psychologically minded enough to even be aware to ask those questions. Let's see. Therapy. Okay, then the next clinical consequence is therapeutic stagnation. And this is one of the most common barriers in psychotherapy. Clients may become experts on themselves. Arab are experts on themselves, right? They can explain attachment theory, trauma responses, family systems, defense mechanisms. They can explain intergenerational trauma with the best of them. They have solutions for everything, yet emotionally, are unchanged. So they understand the wound. Their insight alone rarely brings transformation. We're very insightful people, but many clients become stuck because knowing without feeling. You can know something, but you got to feel it to heal it. And that takes a lot of trust in a trusting relationship with your clinician. All right. Let's see. So, some questions. Do you tend to explain your emotions, or are you actually experiencing them? Do you explain it? I feel angry. But are you experiencing it, feeling the rage in the body, which could be very uncomfortable, to then transmute it into empowerment? Another question for all of you in the context of this is, when someone shares with you their pain, do you offer analysis or connection? Are there experiences you could talk about easily? Maybe your immigration experience, what you saw in your home country, but you cannot feel it. There's no judgment here. This is just saying, what does all this mean to me? What happens to me? A big question I want all of you to ask yourself is what emotions become uncomfortable when you stop thinking? So when you stop ruminating, when you stop doing, and you're just sitting with yourself, what emotions become uncomfortable? Okay. So let's see, we've got 10 minutes. I want to go over real quick how defense mechanisms impact out of families. And I'm going to go over this real quick. So, common family patterns I see: the minimizer. It's not that bad. Who's the minimizer in your family? And if this is you, just be aware of it. The fixer. Just do this and you'll be fine. Just handle this, you'll be okay. The martyr. I think I have a whole video on this one. After everything I've done for you, you are still upset or you're not happy with your life. Everything I suffered, right? The martyr. We've got plenty of those in many of our family systems. The avoider. Let's not talk about it. Mama, Baba, you hurt me. Let's not talk about it. I don't want to hear it. Let's just keep it in. We all have this one sibling. Usually it's a sibling or the cousin, the blamer. You're the reason why this family has problems. You're the problem. If you didn't speak up about your emotions, if you didn't name the crap that was going on in this family, you're the problem. We should have just kept things quiet. So you may be the cycle breaker. So they're going to blame you for that. Okay. So these responses often protect people from painful emotions because they never learned how to process it. Now, I know as a clinician, it is very difficult to process these painful emotions. So trying to get them to process painful emotions, no. I would encourage you to take your energy, bring it back to yourself for you to process them for yourself, and then move forward in a mindful place. The final message I want to talk about defense mechanisms is they are not evidence that something is wrong with you. Okay. They are not evidence something is wrong with you. Like I said earlier, we all do this. They are evidence that points to something that hurts. Okay. You're in pain. When you try and project onto somebody, there's a pain in you. If you try and blame somebody else or minimize some, there's a pain within you. And the question isn't what's wrong with me. The question is, what is this defense trying to protect me from? Now, you may have repressed all your emotions because that smart little boy or that little girl growing up needed to repress the emotions. And so as an adult, it's important when you're trying to form deeper relationships, when you're trying to move forward in your life, it's important to ask, okay, I'm being defensive with my partner. What is it protecting me from? Because that partner can't help you with that. You have to do that work for yourself. And we know that healing begins when we come from a place of curiosity about our defenses instead of judging them. And I know that we may judge our family members for how they're moving. Well, that's not helping the healing between the generations. Recognizing that they're limited, recognizing they're so defended because that was contingent on their survival, to recognize, okay, that's where they're at. And it is completely inappropriate to try and open up somebody when they're not ready to address their trauma. So try not to do that with your parents. Give them, I'm not excusing some of the behaviors. However, give them a little bit of grace that you have no idea what they went through and why they're so defended. The only thing that you can do, because you're trying to ask them to do something that they're not capable of doing. So how can you turn that back to yourself? Recognize that that's where they're at. Limit emotional discussions with them because that's what you may need to do, and you're going to grieve that. There's no way around that. You're going to grieve the parents you wish you had, but can you interact with them in a way that take the good of what they can bring to you? And so really it's awareness is the first step towards change. Recognizing that the defenses that once protected you deserve compassion, but they don't have to run your life, which is what I see a lot. A lot of these defense mechanisms are running our life. And I'm going to encourage all of us, if we're going to build as a community, if each person, because we're a collective community, if each person was in their awareness and wholeness in how they're moving in these spaces, then maybe we would have more effective communication. We may listen to one another. I think Ibrahim said feeling we could see one another more and hear one another more. Okay? So recognize your defense mechanisms is a you problem. And if someone is projecting onto you, try not to internalize it, because your light is bright and you don't want people to dim it as a result of their defense mechanisms, but you also don't want to dim your own light in repressing things that may have hurt you. Okay? And so to move forward in that, because we want solutions, one of the solutions is to maybe go see a therapist. Another solution may be to join a support group. You may want to get an ebook that will talk about what's going on within you. It's that inner reflection. So there's lots of things you can do. You can watch a video about defense mechanisms. Go, God, I project a lot. Okay, well, recognize where that comes from. Okay, all right. Kifehna, how are we doing on time, Mira?
Oh my God, what an amazing topic. I can't believe this is part 2 and we have all this information. Wow.
I know, and I didn't even go through all of it. I just felt like sometimes too much information, we can get saturated. So I wanted to just give you guys a general, just some general questions to ask yourself about that. Okay, any questions or any comments about what we learned today, or any awareness, any insight that you may have had as a result of the information? Everyone's quiet. ولا حدا في عندهم, everyone's thinking like, oh,
they're thinking.
Oh, one thing, oh my God, I can't believe I totally forgot about this defense mechanism, which is, okay, sorry, I'm going to talk about this. I can't believe I forgot about this one. One of my favorite defense mechanisms of our culture is our humor. It is probably one of the most socially acceptable defense mechanisms. It can create connection and resilience and hope during hardship. And I think we have an amazing sense of humor as a culture. And even clinically, I use humor a lot in the room. And sometimes it's about naming it. Like I'll work with my Arab clients and we'll laugh about something very intense, very emotional. And I'll name it. Do you see what we just did in here? We laughed about this. And is this humor helping us cope? Or is it helping us to avoid? And then it gives room to talk about what may we have been avoiding, what was the more deeper, painful emotion. But I absolutely love how this is one of our strengths, that we use defense mechanism of humor, yet to take a look. Are we using it to cope or to avoid? All right. That's really what I wanted to add. I forgot about that. I could spend a whole 45 minutes on that. All right. We've got about 4 minutes before we end. Maybe anything else, or Yalla news maybe?
Oh my God. Yes, this last one is spot on. Like Momentum Fluid said, it's spot on. How did we not begin with this one? I have so many family members and friends do this. And but isn't it like one of the hardest ones to do? Because you really mask all your emotions and you just keep making the situation fun and happy when deep inside it's very hard.
Yeah. So I come from a family where we deflect with humor and sarcasm, right? And it took me a long time to recognize that when someone says a joke, or if I say a joke, to just take a minute and ask yourself that, like, okay, was there something so intense happening that we all needed to just deflect it with joke?
Yeah.
And that's okay. Maybe that's what was needed for that moment. Yet for you to take a deeper look at, oh, what was the family avoiding? What was the pain? And then it could be recognizing the alcoholic uncle, or the auntie who may be struggling with mental health issues, or uh, you know um, the marital challenges between your parents, or the sibling that um, the family will use humor when maybe they're in a lot of pain. So just take a look at it.
Oh, yes. Amazing conversation. And for everyone that feels like they missed a part or would like to even maybe watch it again, I know I will be watching it again. It's very insightful. It's just, I feel like it helps with not just understanding yourself, but also understanding whoever you're having a conversation with. And that's very important. Awareness is a very important thing. So you can find this recording of the whole live on our on our YouTube channel, and you'll find the link for it in our bio. And some Yalla News. I always do the Yalla News on Wadih Wednesdays. So we have some resources for everyone that's been asking about consultations to begin with. Tiffany does offer consultations. She does not have like a large availability. She just has like a limited spot. So if you'd like to check it out, you can find all the details and book your consultation on the website. Also, the link is in the bio. And we also do have ebook. The ebook is called Autonomic Nervous System, and you can find it also on our website. We also have a support group for the LGBT community. That's amazing. Yes, I know it's something that you cannot find. I feel like it's like really a one of a kind group, and you can also find all the details. It's a drop-in group. You can find all the details, and you can book it directly on our website. Also, if you're not comfortable joining a group, you can find an ebook for the LGBT community as well, and you'll be able to also get it directly on our website.
That's right. So when we look at points of entry for our emotional health and wellness, Wadih Wednesday may be just like an initial point of entry. You're saying, oh, there's this marriage and family therapist. She comes from our culture. And it helps to start to think about these things, and that some of it may resonate with you. And then from there, you may want to think about, maybe I'm going to seek a consultation. Or maybe from there, you want to work with a clinician one-on-one, and finding that within your insurance network, or finding that within your, sorry, TikTok is driving me nuts. Finding that within your insurance network, right? And so you may want to work with someone one-on-one. Maybe you feel like you need more community support. So you say, well, I'm going to join a group because I want to be around. We're so isolated and alone within our cultural, like there's not a lot of spaces for us to come together. And one of the coolest things about the LGBT support group and the Light for Light group is that when you get all of us together in one room and everyone's sharing and talking, people feel so seen, so heard. You don't have to explain. That's the beautiful thing. You don't have to explain nothing. Every single person, no matter if they're min Muslim, in Egypt or Yemen or Libya or Palestine or Lebanon or Jordan or Tunisia or wherever in the MENA region, right? everybody in that room gets it.
Yes.
We have our nuances, but to be in a space for that is amazing.
Mhm.
So these are the points of entry. This is what we're trying to build. This is what we're trying to do because we want to help all of us. There's so much happening out there. There's so much happening in our world. How can we really shore ourselves up as a community to not allow the external things that are happening that we may feel powerless against? And there's ways we can empower ourselves. And let's start with the first point of entry in being kinder and more compassionate and more loving to each other. Maybe we could just start there. More understanding. You may not agree with how somebody lives their life. That's fine. But at a minimum, can you not do harm to that person and project onto them all your nastiness? Can we do that? Can we not dim each other's light?
Yes.
Okay. So
Mhm.
with that said, oh my gosh, we're over. Nawar titnawar, the light in me sees the light in you. Join us every Wednesday. Watah Wednesday. Mira Mabruk. Thank you. And we'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.